Hey guys, this is Josh Kels here with Gaming News Daily. As obviously as this video is going to be unedited, so it's just going to be my point of view on the whole situation with Sony cutting off physical media as of late as the news came out for the 2028 complete production halt. Um, it's unfortunate, but I how should I say it? It's already been said, but it hurts because if they already immediately just decided cold turkey just to cut off physical media altogether, um, they're cutting off a lot of things. It's not just the game disc itself, but also what comes with people that collect not just the physical media, but physical media plus whatever you get as a collector's edition. And for example, if you've ever owned the PlayStation 4 version of The Last of Us Collector's Edition with Ellie playing the guitar statue, uh, you know, they might do that without the CD, but I think given the current foot traffic that Sony is getting for their, they're getting severe backlash for what they're doing. And I get it because if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, even, if you're old enough to know and understand what digital licensing is versus physical media, then you're old enough to understand what the major consequences are for these kinds of games to be essentially stop production. Basically, what I'm trying to say, the production of these games means a lot to people, especially because it's an art form, for one, and two, it's a piece of media that contains a developer's work, companies. This is man hours, not just because it's on a disc, but it's also the involvement of hundreds up to thousands of people or major publishers, that like, I'm gonna use Rockstar for example. They have multiple um design studios, the game development studios, Rockstar North. I'm going blank here, I'm sorry. But essentially, having the involvement of and collaboration of multiple studios goes into one game, and in that one game and that one disc contains all their work. Human beings work on these games, and essentially having to take away that the ability to own something physical is taking away that, basically, that liberty. And there was another post that went on recently with Asmongold, the guy that the long hair. I don't watch much of his videos, but there was a 50-second clip about him talking about that even though you own physical media, you're getting that false sense of security because they can literally revoke that media on a console. And that goes both ways because, yes, at the current in the current market, if it's possible, even with having physical media, you put it in the PS5 and you try to play it, but the PS5 is programmed to revoke that license from the physical media. I mean, if that's the case, then I will not say we're at a loss, but that takes away a lot of that ability to hope that it's going to continue on. If let's say PlayStation 6 comes out in 2028 and Sony takes away the disc drive, that's it for physical media altogether. I mean, obviously, but let's say if 2028 comes by, then all of a sudden they're already doing it too. I recently saw a post on X. A lot of creators and gamers are putting on there that they took away hours, like the amount of hours you play on a game, especially specifically for the physical media. And damn, they're really cracking down and do not give two bits about your ownership. You play games for so many hours. People put 200 hours, 300 hours in a game, and they took away that feature. I was like, oh boy, they're really poking the bear on this one because they don't care, and that's this is not the kind of news I was expecting, especially for PlayStation, because everyone else, as of late, Xbox, Asher Sharma is leaning down on studios and essentially try to clean up house, and then Nintendo, is the next in line. Is the only one that's had full physical releases because we got the Oblivion, Elder Scrolls remaster on the Switch 2 that's coming out here soon. Thank God it's a full release, and and everybody judges the Switch 2. Oh yeah, everybody on the Switch 2 just wants to desperately own a copy of a game that they can get elsewhere. But the point of having a physical release, especially on the Switch 2, is you're guaranteed to play that offline, especially if it's a full release on a cartridge. Give or take if as an update or something for minor tweaks or something. But if you go to travel and you take the Switch 2 with you, you can essentially just plug and play. Put it in the slot, put the cartridge in, and you're good to go. And that's the benefit that I love about the Switch 2 is if it's disconnected from the internet. Obviously, if you play a game that has like online features, like Splatoon 2 has online play. Obviously, Splatoon itself, the second game is all technically multiplayer, but the new one that's coming out, Splatoon 3, I'm sorry, not Splatoon 3, so sorry, Raiders, is a single player focused game that's essentially going to be for the players. And I think that's also getting a full physical release. And that's phenomenal. This is quite a shift, especially coming from a company like PlayStation where they, encouraged ownership. And everybody's just posting everything and anything that Sony did in the past, which a lot of stuff I didn't know personally, but seeing it on X and me actually looking up the posts and making sure just to make sure verified is true. It's all true. Physical ownership. The PS4 era was big on physical ownership, and now that, and I just don't know. I'm just really baffled because I was gonna pre-order GTA 6, but I have not bought anything from the PlayStation Store recently, just because I just feel guilty for just buying anything directly from their store, just because of the consequences of, God knows down the road if something happens, something drastic. I mean, knowing Sony and PlayStation and their shenanigans, all of a sudden it's like we're shutting down the PlayStation store. I know it's not gonna happen, but God forbid, all overnight they're like, oh yeah, we're shutting down the store because of this and that. I mean, God knows what they're able to do because they have full control of their market and of that market. So yeah, it's rough, and I feel for a lot of people that grew up in the era of physical media and PlayStation 2, PS1, Dreamcast. I mean, you name it, the early 2000s up to this point, even past during COVID when obviously digital sales, I don't know the whole research. I mean, there was a spike just because everybody was at home, etc. Then obviously digital sales went up, but that was just temporary because you can't take something that's permanent as physical media that I'm pretty sure had a lot more sales, and you can get a lot of these games at a discounted price. I mean, they're essentially taking away the freedom of choice to have the best of both worlds. Either you can have physical media or you can have digital. They literally said, F y'all, either take it or leave it. Digital ownership is going to be the way to go. And with that, Jim Banks already stated the obvious. They're essentially trying to banking on this, and it's going to put them at their home court. The ball is going to be in their court, unfortunately, and it's it's not benefiting us as gamers. Especially a lot of gamers that come from the early 90s and 80s, they know the impact physical media has had on them growing up. And I totally get that because when I was a kid, I used to have the N64. And I think I had the Sega, what was it? Was it the Sega? I think Sega came up with a console. I'm not sure. But GameCube, Nintendo 64 were the only consoles that I grew up with. And then down the road, obviously as I got older, I bought like the PS4, the PS2 Slim, the small one, and then I bought the Xbox 360, and that's what I essentially grew on. I didn't not grow up on any PlayStation consoles. No one growing up. This was when my parents they bought a lot of this stuff, and obviously, I was younger. I didn't care which console I had, and that's what I played. So growing up in the Xbox 360 era, where you had tons of games, and especially the Xbox Arcade had amazing games that you can no longer play because obviously the Xbox 360 store was shut down a while back, and it's man, what a time flies fast, scary fast, and then you see all that happen. Now with the Vita and the PS3 store, which I think it's already closed or soon to be closed, as the recording of this time of the recording of this video, man, they're really cleaning. They're really cleaning house because I know Nintendo was another one that shut down their 3DS, the virtual shop on the handheld. That's another one that closed back a while back. And there's tons of virtual games on there too. Thankfully, if you already had them or purchased them, you weren't gonna lose those purchases. But still, all that all it takes is one flick of a switch and it's all gone. That's literally what's going on right now. Sony decided to, and they knew they were gonna get backlash like this, but with the petition going out, plus that news making it all the way up to the top to CNN, and celebrities put in their input on this. You got video game developers begging them to bring it back. Developers essentially saying that, damn, I won't be able to make a game on a disc anymore because everything is going to be done on online. I mean, essentially, you put out a game, you're not going to be able to produce something that's going to be a collector's edition or something that comes in a steelbook. Like, I'm a big fan of steelbooks, like really big fan of steelbooks because, first of all, I love the case itself. The design is unique, and it means something. It's a form of art. You're creating something as hey, you get in the minds of developers and people that are putting the game together, and once the game goes gold, and you think it's like, I want to make a deluxe edition of a game, with a steelbook and little accessories and stuff that comes with it, even a manual, which is hard to get nowadays, and you're essentially just losing all that altogether because that's no longer going to be a thing. Even if it is, it's going to be a code in the box or just a collector's edition, but without any physical media. And then, it doesn't hold as much weight and it doesn't have that much of an impact when having something as the disc itself plus whatever you're getting with it. So it's, people are still in shock and they're still fighting back as the news keeps coming out and all the stuff that people are finding out about Sony, and they're really going into the research, and it's scary to think that this is an end of an era. So yeah, it's a lot to take in, and people will always have their two sides. There's one that says digital games, I've bought digital games all my life, I never bought a disc. Great. And there's the other side of it where people believe that physical media is always the go-to, basically. To something happens if the online goes. Oh my god, I'm going blank here. Basically, if you have physical media and you want to play the game offline, then you have that peace of mind. Some games do rely on consistent internet connection, which is one of my pet peeves, because I don't like buying a game and then let's say if I want to go somewhere else and I want to play. Let's say if I want to take my PS5 somewhere else and I don't want an internet connection, I want to just jump in and play. Oh, sorry, you require an internet connection. And a good example of that is there's one game that I like playing a lot, and I'm so glad it does have offline, but of course you lose the additional features like XPs and all that. But if you grew up on the PS2, PS1, a lot of the PS2 games and GameCube games where you can play offline multiplayer matches, and you can just pick up and play. You can play with the bots, essentially what the built-in multiplayer bots, without having what's a good example? Medal of Honor Rising Sun on the GameCube or the PS2, whatever comes first, whatever you played on. You can set up bots to play with. I think it's a 4 versus 4, but it is so much fun. And I mean, I personally like that. I never essentially like playing a multiplayer online. I mean, it's fun, don't get me wrong. But if I just want to go into do like a quick game, it's great. I mean, you just play, and I think Call of Duty has that. Black Ops 1 and 2, 3. What else? I know Modern Warfare 3, the current one, the current Modern Warfare has bots, but you need an online connection to play with those bots, which I find that annoying because I love the third person feature. And everybody knows you play a game for certain things and certain things that enhance the gameplay. That's a plus. And being able to play bots as a third person with the AI, I mean, to me it's fun. And if anybody else might say different, but I just like pick up and play literally. And the bots are hilarious. Don't get me wrong, especially Modern Warfare. They're freaking hilarious. I get shotgun blasted from the back every time that they're like, these freaking bots are brutal, but it's hilarious. But regardless, it's subjective. It's a personal preference. A couple of things to keep in mind, and it depends how you grew up. Honestly, if you grew up differently, if you grew up in the era of just playing online games, if you grew up in the era of Fortnite, that's great because that's your personal experience. Everybody's unique in that way. So you have the choice to either, you can take this, especially for Sony, you can take this situation with Sony in many ways. You don't care, you do care, whatever. I'm sorry, but it depends on personal preference, unfortunately. But there is a large portion. There's millions of people out there that own physical media, and unfortunately they essentially pissed off the hive, and they're fighting back. And at the end of the day, I think even though with the pushback, I don't think much is going to get done because it's up to Sony whether or not they're going to basically try to decide whether or not they're going to keep production of this, which I don't think it's gonna happen, even though the petition is out there for it too. I don't think it's gonna do much, just because if they came out and they knew once they posted this on their blog spot on their forum, and they said once you hit enter, you hit click on that. Excuse me, why am I getting so many burps? I'm so sorry. If you click that and you send it to the public, you're gonna piss off a lot of people. And I'm thinking of the person that typed this up and decided to publish it. As like, well, maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't want to, and Sony said no, put that shit out there. Excuse my language, but their backlash is for real. This is bad. But if you watched it, if you got this far, thank you for watching. And this is just my take on the issue. And obviously, a lot of people are gonna have the same opinion. Their point of view might be different, might be not, whoever. But like I said before, everybody's unique, and everybody's gonna take this news differently. Obviously, on X, everybody has their own opinion about this, and some people care, some don't. Some are like going for both. So I don't know. It's hard to it. I don't like saying I want to convince anybody if physical media is a must, but if you know the history of it and how it became a thing, and I mean, there's history. Obviously, there is an impact. Basically, physical media does have an impact, but it's up to the individual. And as the saying goes, there's power in numbers. There really is. Having a voice in the matter and having an increase community getting together and rally against something like this makes a difference. And over time, this is the news only came out. What? When did it come out? On Saturday, I believe. Friday. I don't remember, but it's only been a few days, 2 or 3 days, and you can see the community just. They're not holding back. They're consistently reminding Sony that what you're doing is wrong, and it's gonna go that way for a while. Even I don't want to get too. I'm gonna keep ranting. Long story short, even the Spider-Man movie promotion, if you read the comments, because obviously Sony owns Spider-Man and Sony owns PlayStation, people are voicing their concern. Stop. Don't do this. They're telling them to freak off. They're just going at it, and it's not gonna stop. I mean, look, the movie itself, I'm pretty sure is gonna do good, unfortunately, and that's what it comes down to. So, I mean, this just keeps snowballing. It just keeps going and going and going. It's not gonna stop. So, we'll see how it goes in a month. It's only been a few days. In a month, God knows what's going to happen and how Sony's going to respond. Or if they even responded, because they haven't responded as of late, ever since they put out that post. So, yeah, that's all I got. And, like I said before, I typically don't make videos like this, but I like just to do a video of just talking about it and just putting my opinions out there. Just to have a more human perspective on it and not just like a voiceover video. But this is more like just talking, on a round table or something. But yeah, hope everybody has a good Sunday. And yeah, I'll make another video. I mean, it's probably gonna be more about this, but just like a more of a status update about the whole situation and any other game news, anything that might come out or is coming out. I know Black Flag is coming out this week. If you grew up on the OG Black Flag, you already know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Black Flag is... If you grew up on the original, like even all the way back to the PS3, Xbox 360, chef's kiss. It's one of those games that I've seen so many videos and I've seen everything, the water, every single thing about it. It's just, oh man, it looks so good. So... God, okay, I'll leave it there. Everybody have a good Sunday, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. And don't get too caught up on don't stress yourself out about those situations, but stay strong, and we'll see how this goes. So you guys take care.